Cheers.
Oh shit, it's live.
Oh.
All right. Hi, everybody. Just trying to get Instagram to go live, which it might not because Instagram is, there it is. Welcome, everyone. This is our celebration of our, ooh, I can hear myself on.
Can you hear yourself on multiple platforms?
I can.
Oh, that's weird.
There we are. There we are. Sorry. We'll cut that. We'll cut that out.
We'll cut nothing. This is
Yeah. We're doing it live, Sean.
All right.
Yeah.
What do they call it? The millennial pause?
We're doing it live. We're doing it live. All right. We're not doing Instagram. I can't do it.
Oh, no. Sorry, Instagram.
Oh, that's what's happening. That's what's happening. Okay. Welcome, everybody. We'll try again. This is our celebration, our big celebration of the 4th anniversary of Athenaeum Comic Art. My name is Sean Watkins. I am the owner of Athenaeum. We represent some of the bestest artists in the business. We sell original art. And tonight we are excited to be with 4 of some of the most fabulous cartoonists around. Tillie, Walden, MS Harkness, Caroline Cash, and Rosemary, Valero-O'Connell. Thank you all for joining me. And thank you to the audience for watching live or watching when this goes up later. Wanted to start by just kind of setting up the stage for tonight. We're going to be having just kind of a casual conversation about art, about comics, about original art, probably. Feel free if you have any questions to throw them in the chat. Maybe we'll get to them. Thank you for those that have sent questions already. And yeah, so we'll get started. So I wonder if folks we'll go around the room. If you could just introduce yourself and talk a little bit about your kind of place in comics, the genres that you kind of exist in, and then we'll get into some other questions. So Tillie, do you want to start?
I guess I do. My name is Tillie Walden. I'm a cartoonist. I always in my bio say cartoonist and illustrator because I wrote it that way when I was 18, and I've just stuck with it, even though I'm not an illustrator. I'm a cartoonist. I've made a lot of graphic novels. I'm not going to list their titles because saying your own titles is embarrassing for me. But I've made many books, and I am sort of firmly in the indie, atmospheric, gay, sad, trauma realm with a few deviations, but that's what I do, and I still work on paper, which is why I love Athenaeum and my original art from all 4 of us. Who's next?
Marina, you want to jump in?
Yeah, sure. I'm MS Harkness.
MS, sorry.
You're fine. No, I mean, I'm working on, as I'm sitting here with my head down, I'm working on my 4th graphic novel that will come out at some point. I'm still in the pretty early stages of it, but I've done quite a bit of longer form graphic novel, memoir stuff, and also I've done a lot of self-publishing. I kind of like them and entertain them equally for the most part, but not dissimilar from some of the other people here, sad childhood trauma, but also being a young woman and figuring yourself out, or probably, and kind of just within what I'm talking about with my work. But yeah, a lot of appreciation for I guess like 90s autobiography stuff, but yeah. So hello.
Thanks MS. Yeah. Caroline, go ahead.
I'm Caroline Cash. I make a variety of different types of comics. What I'm most known for is my comic series Pee Pee Poo Poo, which is a one-person anthology comic series. It's mostly autobiographical, or like it's kind of like my diary, but then I lie all the time in it. So it's like it's a little bit less
less cut and dry. And then I also am working on a longer graphic novel. I'm about to have an Adventure Time comic coming out. I've done some other stuff. I've done a lot of self-publishing. So yeah, more, I guess like I would, at this moment in time, kind of like identify more so as like a humor cartoonist, right? Like, I think that's kind of my current vibe. But yeah, that's me.
Go ahead, Rosemary.
I believe it's my turn. Hi, I'm Rosemary Valero-O'Connell. I guess I'm a little omnivorous when it comes to the type of stuff I make. I feel like began my career, or my collaborative projects are a lot more YA, but I feel like a lot of the stuff that I'm either working on or that's my personal stuff or that's coming out in the future is more, I don't even know, speculative fiction, sci-fi, horror, usually pretty gay. I don't know if I've made one that hasn't been yet. I don't know if I do. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like I'm moving into the next sort of like genre of what my work is going to be, which is maybe going to be a little bit more horror leaning.
Ooh, that's exciting.
Yeah, we're going to get nasty.
Horror is kind of the thing right now. Like all of my students at the comic school are like, they just want to make queer horror. That's all they want to do.
Yeah, I mean, I understand them completely.
Tillie, why do you think that is? Why are they
I actually
gravitating
don't know. I do think that the evolution of like queer comics has been through stages, and we're past the stage of needing to like justify our existence, so we don't have to just do like, oh my god, my cat, coming out stories and just memoir, even though I love a gay memoir, I love a queer memoir. So I don't know, I think now we can go into other genres with a little more mainstream appeal.
I was about to say, I think there's almost been like not a like push back in like queer authors against the sort of like maybe hyper sanitized sort of, you know, like YA, and sort of like that's the kind of comic you can make if you're going to make like a gay comic and get it published. And a lot of people are kind of trying to I don't know, go to the complete opposite end of the pool and be like, how, you know, adult and how like gay and how sort of transgressive can I make my work, which I think is great.
Yeah. Horror is big everywhere, though. I feel like it's big in TV, it's big in movies, but I mean, you can do the obvious thing of like, our world is horrifying, so we need to make horror so we can try and figure it out. But I don't know.
Right. I feel like there was also like horror was kind of out of fashion in the 2010s, so it made sense that it would be back in that way, right? And also like, I feel like, especially looking at like E.M. Carroll's comics and how popular those are, I feel like those really inspired a lot of young queer people. And I remember, I also think it's really in fashion right now as for young cartoonists to be doing queer horror specifically, which I'm quite excited by. Like I want to read that, so I'm pretty happy with that. You know, it's way better than, I don't know, a different genre.
I think my thing though is like very few people on this earth can draw like Rosemary, and I'm like, Rosemary's earned the right to do horror, and I'm always worried about my students where I'm like, there's a lot of perspective in horror. You have to have someone like coming around the bend to scare you.
The bend.
I do feel like there's like, oh, there's your cat. What's their name again?
That's Tatiana. Don't mind her. She's fine.
Tatiana.
She's fine. Go on, Caroline.
I feel like the like main critique I have of a lot of like younger cartoonists making like queer, or just in general like younger cartoonists making horror, is that sometimes they show the monster too early, and it's like you really gotta work for that, I think.
That's true. I have a similar thing when I'm gonna teach writing. A lot of my students are interested in writing romances, and I'm like, you have really got to earn that kiss. I do not want to see that kiss on page 3, I swear to God. But they're also excited about like love that they just kind of jump right in.
The kiss should definitely be past page 3. However, as an avid reader of the Green Yuri comic, they took too long. They took too fucking long.
Oh, so there's a window of
There's a window.
good kiss time.
Between page 3 and page 5, I want to see a little something.
Totally. Have y'all read How Do We Relationship?
I've heard of it. I haven't read it.
I think it's the best one right now.
Really?
You gotta. I'll send you the link. Like
I'm gonna write it down.
Actually, I'm writing it down. It's really good. It just finished. It just finished, so it's totally complete. It's the best one right now. You know.
Please.
I highly recommend.
Love it.
Not to jump in, but I'd be curious to hear. We've talked about horror. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the state of memoir. In some circles that I run in, some collectors, some readers, I've heard them say, that there's so much memoir out there, right? That everyone's doing it. And maybe that's a few years old now, but I know you all have dabbled or sort of live in those spaces. Would love to hear kind of your thoughts about the state of memoir in comics and your
I think the stock of the individual has crashed significantly.
Say more
right now. I'm going short on the individual. In general, I'm selling everything off. No. I think people are pretty tired of it. Like whether you have like a kind of like weird political swing of like being against like queer or like diverse voices in any capacity. I also just think there's like a kind of level of exhaustion for like kind of where we're talking about as far as like people who are like young and gay having to explain themselves constantly. It's like I would love to do other shit if you would actually listen to anything I have to fucking say. So there's like plenty of imagination to go around for anything else. But I think just generally speaking, we've had a lot of people talking about themselves who are bad at it and aren't good, and are nobody in the room right now. But it's also like to say, you make a trauma memoir. It's like, cool. What do you do after that? Like, where do you take that information? Like, it gets a little bit like you're beating your audience with a blunt object if you're not very good at it. So.
Yeah,
it's hard out there. Maybe we don't want to keep talking about it.
No, I think that's all totally true. And at the same time, at least for me, like autobio is the reason I got into comics, and I think it will always sort of be my one true love. Even though I haven't actually I'm not working on any autobio right now, and probably won't for a few years. But it has a quality to it that even the sort of bad autobio that's like over narrated and oversharing and annoying, part of me is still like, oh, I want to read that.
Oh, totally. I'm gonna keep making it. People can't stop me. But,
yeah. But I think you're right that it is not the way like I was able to get a book deal for my book Spinning was only possible because I was like writing the coattails of like Fun Home and Blankets and all of that stuff. But I don't think that's happening right now. And I don't know if those books are selling the way they used to. But I don't know. I haven't tried to sell a memoir in a while. What do you think, Caroline?
Go ahead.
I think that it's actually kind of fine. Like, I think people complain a lot about anything, but I do think memoirs still sell. And
you're working on one, aren't you? No, wait.
No, I'm writing fiction actually.
Sure, Caroline, it's fiction.
the main character has my haircut, but it's fiction.
Oh wow!
Yeah, different hat.
It's set in 2017 in Chicago, and it's fictional. However, as someone working on a book of fiction, but I don't know. I think that memoirs still sell. I think memoir, like as a genre outside of comics, like memoirs are selling pretty well right now. I think, like just based on like talking to friends who like work in bookstores and stuff. Like I think it's a pretty successful genre right now, specifically like outside of comics. And I do think that maybe there was like an oversaturation in the market for a second, because it's just like there's hundreds and hundreds of thousands of comics about you're a guy and you're riding your bicycle and you're sad, and you're riding your bicycle and you're sad, and you hit on a girl and she said, oh, I don't know, and you're sad on your bicycle. But I feel like, I don't know. I think I love reading memoir, so I'm like, oh, it's doing fine. And I'll read the sad bicycle comic. Like it's fine.
It is also the easiest one to pick on, I feel like, on the internet. Like
I
it's
think
so easy to pick on.
Yeah,
autobiography.
I mean,
Young
there's a lot of
genre
it, which means you get the best and
still,
the worst, right? It's the full spectrum of
so.
you get incredibly incisive autobio from people who have had, 1 million things happen to them in their young lives, and then, sort of wrote. But I don't know. I think it's how so many of us. I know that at least the first like comics that I was making, and that I feel like all of my peers were making when we started, there's like a simplicity in just sort of mining your own life for stories. And I think it was a good place to start for a lot of people before, you really have like your sea legs as a storyteller. So I think it makes a lot of sense that it kind of continues to be something that people reach for,
Totally.
You know what I love on 24-hour comic day, which every time I've done it, I do it before 24-hour comics day, and I take 2 days to do it, and then I post it. So it's all a lie. But I love seeing what people eat.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, the amount of cartoonists who eat like a variation on a yogurt bowl for breakfast is shocking to me. So many people are eating sliced fruit and yogurt, and I have never. I would never. It's not my breakfast of choice. I love it.
I'm not a yogurt guy either. But
See,
I will say,
people draw those yogurt things, and I think they're telling the truth.
I think they're telling the truth too, and I also think that like they draw the yogurt with such precise detail. 'Cause it's the first thing that they draw, and then by the end of the night, it's just like truly a stick figure, which I understand and respect. Every 24-hour comic day,
or hourly
like
comic days.
Hourly comic day, whatever is in February that I always forget about until the day of. But when it comes to the state of autobio and memoir, it's like every single time that rolls around, I'm like, well, what is Eleanor Davis posting? You know what I mean?
I know. I love going to people's accounts and being like, who did it?
Mm-hmm.
She posted one like 4 or 5 years ago that I think about all the time. I like really am convinced it's one of the best comic strips ever written, and it's like I think she deleted it. Like I think she posted it on Twitter and deleted it. You know what I mean? And I have it screenshotted somewhere. So we're all good.
Well done, Caroline.
So we're safe. But
The work of the archivist.
yeah. But
I think
I don't know.
I think I don't know. It's interesting as well, thinking about kind of the state of the world that we're in, and certain backlashes against certain types of individuals, right? Like, I'm also curious. I don't know, like thinking about kind of the current political space that we're in. Does that allow for women, queer identified folks to kind of speak in the same way, like as part of the backlash against memoir that some of you don't see, which is great. But I wonder if that's tied to identity politics. I don't know. It's interesting to kind of think about, at least. I don't know if anyone has thoughts about that, but we can also move on to something else.
Like the question on my mind that I wonder if anyone has any musings about is like, what are the next 10 years in publishing going to look like, given what's happening sort of right now on a cultural level, on an economic level, on a distribution level, on a printing, like I feel like every part of the industry and the psyche is being affected. And I just like my books have always been banned in some places, but this feels like it's, I don't know. I think, yeah, what I'm wondering is what stories are going to get money.
I think ideologically, as we wax about the possibilities, like our ability to distribute things to other countries and or import anything to be printed are being significantly reduced. So it's like, we're like, what are we going to put on our paper? Like, oh, the paper doesn't exist anymore, darling.
No paper
like,
for you.
Yeah.
Paper. Like, so yeah, I mean, what the de minimis exemption just made it so like we were just talking about this the other day, Caroline. Like Coots can't send any comics into the country anymore.
Right.
And like if any of us gets like a random online order from like Europe, like it will probably just be held at the border and not given to the person. So
yeah, I wonder what effect that's. I mean, it feels like American comics specifically are going to become increasingly more insular and isolated because we've sort of been cut out of the international community in at least in terms of sort of individuals or small presses like distributing our work, and that, you know, small press is kind of where the most, you know, transgressive work is being made kind of to begin with. So I really don't know what that one's gonna do to us as individuals or kind of to the industry as a whole.
Yeah.
I also have noticed a trend just amongst my students that like less and less people do conventions because it's just not economically feasible anymore. Like no one has any spare cash. And if they do have spare cash, they're certainly not going to use it to go make just a little bit of money at a convention. And so I feel like, I don't know, that's gonna, the convention scene, the indie comic scene, and the lack of like an online space where anyone is happy. Not that Twitter in 2011 was that great, but it was certainly like better than this shit that we're dealing with right now. Like I don't want to be on Instagram. I don't want to be on Blue Sky. I don't want to do a Substack. Like I don't want to do any of this, but I want to know what's going on in comics.
Yeah.
Like I want the gossip. I want the news. I want and I want to know what people are making. I want to know who's going to be at CXC, who's going to be at SPX, what's going on. But like where do we congregate anymore?
Right.
I don't even know.
I don't know if I could have started Athenaeum now with the state of social media. I mean, Athenaeum started during, I mean, it started right up when the pandemic started, essentially, is when we kind of ramped up. And I mean, I found most of you all through social media, right? Like, especially some of the folks I work with that, you know, are more up and coming, don't have as many books published, you know, finding them through small presses, through whatever, hearing about a podcast, that sort of thing. It's much more difficult now to find anybody. And it's really difficult for me with Athenaeum just to get the word out there, which is why, you know, a lot of times we collaborate on posts and things like that. And I don't think anyone loves doing it. Nobody loves doing it, but it's kind of part of the business, and trying to figure out, like, I spent a lot of time thinking about, like, how do I get through the algorithm? Because I'm convinced that people want to buy your art, right?
Yeah.
They want to buy, I know they want to buy your art, but if they don't know it exists or that they can buy it, that's a problem.
It is. And from what I know from people who have worked at Instagram, the only way to truly hack the algorithm is to make reels.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't want to make a reel.
Right.
I don't want to do that. Caroline, you going for a smoke?
Yeah.
We're keeping it real
I ordered
here.
some sushi. I ordered some sushi and it was outside, so I'm putting the sushi inside and then I'm going to smoke the cigarette, unless it's too loud outside, in which case I will abstain. Yeah, I refuse to make a reel. If I ever make a reel, just know I've lost my mind.
I'll just make a reel for you and tag you.
Oh, that would be okay.
I feel like I've noticed a lot more cartoonists moving full-time over to just something like a Substack. And I wonder about that.
I mean, I think go ahead.
That's not social, or it's like, it's just
not.
direct. You know?
It's a different type of thing. And I don't know, I'm curious how you guys feel, especially as, you know, people that do a lot of like autobiographical work, which is sort of, you know, a selling at least an idea of yourself. But it seems like increasingly the people I know who have managed to maintain sort of a successful, or I guess a prosperous social media presence, are the ones who kind of have leaned very hard into themselves as the artist kind of being the product that they're selling, you know. So videos of themselves drawing, or sort of, you know, this whole sort of a selling of a lifestyle rather than kind of the, you know, the thing which I can't do. Like,
Yeah.
I just like, I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. It's I also hear so much from people coming up against that, where it's just like, oh, this is not, my face and my voice are not what I want to, that's not the point of access that I want people to have to find work.
Yeah. I've always been really aggressive about, I don't even know how many Instagram posts I've made, but I think like 2 of them have my face, and none of them certainly have my kid, even though I put him on my story all the time because he's so cute, but it disappears. Yeah, I think I'm really fortunate that I've managed to maintain a pretty strong social media presence without having to give myself over to it. But I think that if I put a little more of myself into it, I think I'd have a much bigger following. And then it makes me wonder, like, would my book sell more? Would I feel more financially stable if I was actually active on this platform? But I haven't looked at my notifications in over 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what
notifications have to stay off.
They have to stay off. And I know I have my own specific problems there that I'm not looking at, but too many of the old trolls.
Mm-hmm.
But
it is so worth it to have the peace of mind of having notifications off and DMs.
Oh yeah, no, but literally when you're in the app, just don't click on it.
Yeah,
just never click on it. You don't need to know.
Exactly.
They can't force you to click on it.
Well, and I'm not always convinced. I mean, this idea of just having more followers, does that mean engaged followers? That's why I think folks with the Substacks and having more of a sort of an audience that's paying attention is probably a better idea. But
but then
what
how
I
do you
found,
reach new people? Yeah,
right.
That, which I wonder so much too about sort of how publishers or even art directors are finding, I don't know, I worry a lot about sort of new talent or people that are sort of coming into themselves as artists, because I know that every job I ever got before I had anything published was through social media. It was through Tumblr and Twitter and whatever, and being very easy to find and sort of feeling that the reach of that was kind of exponential, and now it just feels like it's a totally different beast. And I don't know, and I know that changes every few years. Before it was you send mailers to people, and then it was you make your little portfolio tweet or whatever, and maybe there's some new horizon of how people are sharing new work. But I certainly feel very out of touch with sort of who that I don't already know and don't already know to check up on is making new work.
I feel like there's a bigger dissonance now where in 2012, if you looked at someone's Instagram page, you got a pretty authentic view of who they were. And now I feel like I just don't know and I think that people have realized that you need to kind of make a persona in art, in anything where you need to promote yourself online. And I don't know, it's different now. Yeah. You don't know what you're getting.
Well, I think it's interesting from my perspective and sort of working with a lot of different folks. I think a level of professionalism is required as well in these spaces. And sometimes folks kind of combine their real life with professional, and it's never going to work out in the end. It's never going to work out in the end. I think that's different than sort of curating yourself as a sort of part of the product, which I'm not a big fan of either. But I think there's a lot to be learned with how to kind of portray yourself in these spaces so that folks look at you and they take you seriously as a cartoonist. We're kind of touching on community a bit. And we're talking about kind of relationship between the sort of technology and audience. But I'd love to hear you all talk a little bit more about when you hear community in comics. What do you kind of think of? And I know sounds like it's changed quite a bit for a lot of you from where you started to now. And some of you go to a lot of cons, some of you don't go to as many cons to have more of that physical presence. But I'd love to hear when you hear community, what does that kind of bring up for you in comics in 2025?
Well, I was at MS's house 2 days ago, and we made tacos. So that's community.
Yeah, I feel like it's interesting. I have my sort of community in comics that is like, I've met some of my best friends and people that I'm going to know for the rest of my life through comics. Comics are now kind of a tangential part of our relationship almost. And then there are the people who it's like, I consider these my colleagues, I guess, of sort of where, and it's funny, I have not quite gotten back into the swing of the con circuit, I guess, in this era of the pandemic or whatever. And so I do feel like my idea of sort of a more amorphous sense of comics community of like who is at the shows is kind of stuck in time a little bit. Where I've gone, it was like I went to maybe SPX like 2 years ago something, and I was sort of shocked at like, oh, I don't know a lot of these people. Like this is kind of a different cast of characters, which is great. And it's wonderful that it's this sort of, endlessly regenerating thing. But I don't know. I at least have been feeling the need, because I feel like cons are always kind of the place where I felt the most in touch with a version of that felt real. The people that I saw, whose faces I saw and whose, faces I knew were the people that I felt the most in community with, which makes sense.
That makes total sense, because you're in community at these cons with other people who have like similar goals to you, similar interests, a bunch of cartoonists but also like people who are actively reading your work and interacting with your work too, which is like the other major part of the community, right? And it's so valuable to be able to actually like talk to the people that are enjoying your work outside of like cartoonists hanging out with cartoonists, right? And I felt that a lot when I was like working at this bookstore in Chicago called Quimby's, because it was great. It was like the most direct way of hanging out with other people who were either reading my work or reading work that I like to read too. You know what I mean? And I do think that the con circuit, like every 5 years, maybe the cast of characters changes a little bit, at least from my point of view. But I don't know. I've been on the con grind. I feel like the past couple of years pretty heavy, and it's nice to see kind of the familiar faces of the past couple of years. But it has changed a lot, and it is totally different people too.
Yeah, I've always thought, at least at this stage for me, community in comics is like, I really love commiserating with other people who have published like multiple graphic novels and who are kind of like, because like there's such a unique place of being at your first book and like needing it to sort of represent you, knowing that you're going to get better and it's you're going to grow even beyond it. Like I've had different stages, but now I find it very valuable to talk with other creators who are like struggling with the fact that you've made all these books, some do well, some don't. Are any of them doing well enough for you to like make a living? And like the sensation of like having sort of made it and wondering what does that mean for like the next 30 years of my life? And I also, it's been valuable too, to have conversations with cartoonists that are also parents. Although a lot of times I'm talking with cartoonists who have a spouse that is not a cartoonist. Ultra rare is finding two parents, both cartoonists.
I was about to say,
you're the shiny Pikachu in the room here.
Yeah, it's a unique place to be. But I always think of community. I think of like my colleagues. I really don't. I've always had, tumultuous is too strong of a word, but I've always struggled with interacting with readers, even in positive circumstances, it's almost all overwhelmingly positive. I'm very introverted, and I really, even when people are like, I love your book, I've always struggled with how to process that. It's never made a lot of sense to me, and I've never been good at dealing with it, and I always sort of
do you feel like you're not like excitable enough for them? Because that's the feeling I get, where I'm like, you're trying to meet Mickey Mouse right now, but I'm not Mickey Mouse, See,
I put on Mickey Mouse for them though. I get that. I feel like I pretend to be Mickey Mouse.
You do, yes. Tillie, you're great. You're like super in the moment, at least.
Well, I'm a teacher.
If I'm like an Adderall for a convention, like I'm disappointing everyone, I feel like, and that I'm like not like.
I wonder how if someone read your work and liked your work, they should like, I don't know, they shouldn't want you to be Mickey Mouse. They should want,
In your
comics.
In your defense, MS, you're watching football. You're busy. You know, you're at the
I
con
usually
watching
am watching
football. Yeah,
Yeah.
and they
She'll
should.
come
They
to my
should
table
know.
at a show, and I fully have a football game on behind my standee, and I'm like struggling with the stream, like while people are trying to give me money.
It's like you and Brian Baines trying to figure out what the score is. You know what I mean?
Me and Brian Baines texting each other for the weird illegal .tl fucking link that gets me all of my sports. But yeah.
MS, could you talk a little bit about the retreats that you have run in the past? I feel like that's such a really cool part of the comics community.
Community, when you say community, like I always struggle with that because it just feels like volunteering when it's really just like being a good person and having friends and not being an ass, I feel like. And just
it's rare though.
It is. And like, but to some extent it's like I like using my resources just to, again, like rise all ships, and just like if I hear about something, like forward it to the people that I feel like should know about it, if it's like a job opportunity or like just something that's, you know, feels like someone in my network of friends of mine should like be aware of it. But like during COVID I did like these cartoonist retreats where, I mean, like it was like the first time I like really feel like I got to meet Caroline to the extent of spending extended amounts of time together. It was kind of about like getting people I haven't seen in a long time in the room together. It was people that like I'd heard on the internet that I'm just like, you seem like you have all your ducks in a row. I'm going to see if you can do a camping trip like out in the middle of the woods in Ohio. And yeah, like I think like going to shows, I would try and like, you try and like find that energy. I feel like with teaching or like adjuncting, you try and like have that energy, and like it's really difficult because of all the different complaints that we have about those things as far as institutions or just like limited, you know, attention span for trying to get money. But like with the retreats, it was all very like not shoestring, but like it was me like figuring out the means to like get a car to like transport people, to like pick them up from the airport and like feed them for multiple days and just like make sure everyone was fine. So that way, like I'm facilitating their experience to then meet other people in a way that's like really organic, and they can just sit around and talk and chat and like make their own friendships that like have really nothing to do with like the retreat itself. And like then they have like a place to stay in Philly or Chicago or LA or whatever whenever they're going to a show. Because ultimately I feel like with community, big C community, it's like people asking to stay at my house for shows and me like putting like the fitted sheet back on the bed after it's clean and just being like, this is like $70 to like $200 they don't need to spend on a hotel room. Like me feeding them and like picking them up from the airport is like money they don't have to spend. And it's because like they're a cool person and like I respect them. And like it's kind of with the like I would hope that they would pay that forward to the extent of like doing that for other people when they can. So like I'm just happy when like people I never talk to reach out to me in like a really kind of like sweaty way of like, can I stay at your house this random weekend because someone said that you were cool? And I'm like, absolutely. Like
Community.
I would love to meet you, you know? So
I feel like you're downplaying it a little bit. Like I feel like folks like you are so important to the scene, right? I mean, like that sort of center point. Like I think in Philly, you have Partners in Sun, right? These folks who Gina and Tom, who are helping organize, who are taking care of people, who are encouraging folks to come together. It's a rare thing in comics, and I'm speaking just for like Michigan. You know, moving here, there's so many comics related things in the state, and not very many people are talking together. And it's so weird to me because I'm like, we all love this thing. Why aren't we hanging out? Why aren't we doing shows together? Why are these like disparate shows that don't talk to each other across the state when we're in the middle of nowhere in the Midwest, right? You know, like we should be, you know, consolidating and kind of building together. Caroline, it looked like you wanted to jump in.
Oh, I was just gonna say that Gina and Tom just fucking rock. Like, they're so fun. They're so down for like almost any event. They do so much work, and they just like are really clearly having a blast. You know, like it's pretty sick being in Philly because there's so many cartoonists here who make so many like different types of comics, and that seems they've done a really good job of just like being down for like whatever you kind of want to do, which is really so much work and so cool of them. I feel like I've been to Partners in Sun with everyone in this chat. You know what I mean? Like,
I think you have.
I think I have. I don't know, and I just think Gina's really funny. You know. I love a Texas accent. What can I say?
They're in my fantasy football, just the store itself. I mean, I think that's mostly Gina, but they're in my fantasy football league, and I'm playing against them in week 1, and I think they're gonna win. So
I just think you need folks like that, right? Like, and it's sometimes a thankless job, but to MS's point, right? Like it's just doing the things that you should do, right? Like I feel like, you know, we get a lot of folks in this space that are introverted. You know, the sort of practice of making comics, at least now, right, is often you're in your own space by yourself for extended periods of time. And going through the pandemic, like even for Athenaeum, you know, I was kind of resistant to some of the going to cons and tabling and things like that for a while, because I was like, I don't need it. Like I can do this from my house. And then I realized how important it is to be able to network, to be able to kind of run into random person, run into a hero that becomes your friend, or someone that I end up working with at a show. And so I think, I don't know, I think as we're kind of wherever we're at with the pandemic, those kind of physical interactions are the spaces where a lot of things are happening. Like I went to San Diego Comic-Con for the first time, and I thought it was going to be a terrible experience as an indie person. And I was like, this is amazing. All these people are here. All these people with lots of resources are here, and they want to use those resources. So I need to be part of the conversation.
Also, speaking, go
You go
ahead.
first.
I was just going to say, speaking of thankless jobs, we are here to celebrate Athenaeum. And the fact that you are the original art seller of indie comics royalty and indie comics of our whole scene is like crazy. Like the fact that you do this job, you sell our art with passion, you sell our art with like so much love is crazy. And we're so lucky because nothing like this existed before. Nothing.
Sean, I really think you need to take a bigger cut.
Honestly,
You earned every penny. Take more.
I think that everyone that you've sold work for, everyone that like works that you've worked with, you have, you know, at least I can say with full cert, like you've completely changed my life and sort of my vision of like what working as a cartoonist can look like, and the ceiling of that kind of it. And that's huge. I mean, you've had an impact on the careers of, I feel like, just about everyone's favorite indie cartoonist out there. So you are a hero, an angel, a scholar.
That's very, very nice of you all. I'm just riding on your
devil to
coattails.
some, angel to others.
Yeah, talk to Deborah, see what she says about all that.
Well, and I also think like, you know, like we exploit you because you're never not working and like doing amazing things for us. But like, I think that then you would also argue like it's a thankless job, but also like you get to go to Comic-Con and kind of write it off. And like, you kind of get to go to like France and like have fun and like meet up with cool people. Like all of that fills your cup up like so much, right? Where like, if I had somebody in my house that like stank and like didn't thank me, you know, just for like just being there and, you know, like having a good time and like this crappy conversation, like then I'd be like, yo, low key, this person stinks. Like, but the nice thing is when you provide like resources and like you extend yourself out, usually people are like more than happy to like give that back to you like in full. So.
And for me, it's not a thankless job. I mean, I think sometimes when I'm in this room at 2 a.m, like taping up a box for the 100th time,
Making your children do it.
making my children do it, that can feel a little thankless, but no, I mean, this has been an amazing experience, like getting to travel all over the world. Like I grew up working class. My dad had agoraphobia. We didn't leave my town. I didn't fly on a plane until I was 19. And so to be able to go to Paris, to be able to do all these things, do events in Philly and San Francisco, in wherever, all over the place. I can't even remember half the places I go anymore. It's a dream come true. Like, and to see something, as someone who, I never wanted a business. I was happy. I would have been happy as like a professor somewhere and just being told what to do. And to build this space over the years that has gone from one artist to now all of you folks and many others, it's a very rewarding experience. So I feel lucky. I also feel like I work pretty hard for it. So
you work so hard. I want this to be your full-time gig.
Me too.
You should be only doing this.
Someday.
We're gonna throw you the biggest pizza party one day.
The minute you quit your job and are just king of Athenaeum all day, every day, we're all flying. We're all going to Vegas.
Yes.
Wait, that's a really good idea.
Well,
We did a pizza party in Vegas in 2.5 years.
Yeah.
That makes me think of, speaking of traveling together, MS and I went to Heroes Con a few months ago, and
It was so much fun.
it was so much fun. And one of the things that I am experimenting with, so like the big kid, the adult version of art reps in mainstream comics will often go as sort of this big crew to the big mainstream shows, and they'll have, big tables with lots of folks and signing opportunities and blah, 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 special prints that they do, whatever. And I would love to be able to bring some of you all to different shows together, partially because I think I love having a table where you all can kind of come and go as you please, and it's like much less stressful for you all, but also kind of combining forces to build out the larger audiences for comic art. And particularly, in the small press world, they don't really seem to understand original art in the same way as mainstream shows do, which I think is, I love small press shows. They're my favorites. But, in terms of me going to them and selling art, it's really difficult. It's me with a giant, some of you have seen me with this giant backpack. I have to carry around 40 pounds of art with me. But
Yours kind of crazy because everyone had a backpack as big as yours.
if not bigger.
like a huge Adventure Time level giant portfolio where I was like, all of these people are Sean. This is crazy.
Oh God, that makes me feel bad about myself. But
you don't have a tacky Hawaiian shirt like those guys. You just have your full pro
the same Athenaeum shirt I wear every day.
Yes.
So yeah, I hope that we're able to continue to collaborate, and if folks want to go to shows, hopefully we can make that happen in the future.
Yes, please.
I think it would make sense for the 5 of us to table together at a show in the future whenever
sounds
if
great.
Every week. I feel like that would be fun. First of all,
so fun. Most importantly, it would be a good time.
Most importantly, you would have fun. Second of all, I think it would be smart, and I think it would be a really good way to show a bunch of people our work.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's nice because we're all different publishers and different books, but being united by Athenaeum is really cool.
Totally.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's interesting. I'm a crazy collector, crazy fan that digs in. I'm a researcher, right? I'm gonna find people and I'm gonna learn everything about them and read all their books. Surprisingly, not everyone is like that. Surprisingly, people need to see the human being, and they need to be oh, there's a human being. Let me talk to that person. And I always love when they're like, Tillie, what what's this book about? You're like, this is Tillie Walden. What are you doing?
Google it, man. I don't know. I'm not going to tell you.
But that's what cons are like. And, I think sometimes, at least on my end, you have to go to where the people are and kind of grab them a little bit and be like, look over here. Look over here. There's good stuff pretty
Right.
stuff.
And I feel like a lot of the people who are really interested in original comic art, but who mostly have like a knowledge of the more like mainstream quote unquote like comics world, I feel like they would really enjoy a lot more like indie stuff, you know, even though I do think like everyone in this chat does have like mainstream appeal. Like I really think that they would be really into it, you know? Like I think that they would really like these books. They would like our books. They would like our friends' books. I don't know. I like mainstream comics and I really like indie comics, and I think that there's just so much out there for people to read and have like a blast with. So I feel like if us tabling somewhere could show some people some stuff that they haven't read before, that'd be really cool, you know?
It would not be hard to convince us, Sean.
No.
Well, and I'm getting to the point as Athenaeum's going into its, you know, it's 4 years old. If folks want to invite us together as Athenaeum and bring us to their show,
now that
it might get folks excited. It might bring more people to your show. I'm just saying.
I think we're a pretty lovely package deal. I mean,
guys, let's go to Montreal.
Yeah, I mean that's
in Montreal.
I want to go to Montreal bad. I want to smoke cigarettes in the office as soon as possible.
Yeah, I want to do Montreal because the distance to get there is the same length as my son's nap, so it is just like to get there.
Then I'm thinking about road tripping to Montreal in the fall, and I would love to sleep in your beautiful guest room on the way, if possible.
Come,
but
it's here for you.
That's very nice. That's very
cute.
nice.
I
Okay.
think we should hard pitch us tabling somewhere that has a hotel with a pool.
Yes.
Yeah.
I want a swim-up bar.
I think we should sign all of
This
our
is the most like bachelorette group chat, like cartoonist conversation. Like,
I don't know, folks. I don't know if we can find a hotel that has both a pool and a bar.
Okay. Yeah.
then we're not doing it.
Let's.
What would be crazy is if wherever the con is, Sean gets a van and he picks us all up and we all ride in the van together. And then I don't know, we could become vloggers. We could vlog it. I don't like that part.
I don't know about that.
I think Sean should do the vlogging.
Oh no, Sean doesn't need more work to do.
I'll get Atticus to do it for us. I know we only have maybe about 10 minutes, give or take left. One kind of fun question that came in from the audience is, how do you balance the story that you want to tell versus the story that you think will sell?
I have never really written for what will sell because I've made, at this point, I think I'm getting to like 15 graphic novels and like nothing sells. I don't, or like,
Tillie Walden. Nothing sells.
If it sells, it sells a little bit. Like I don't know what the formula is for a bestseller. I've never made a bestseller. And if I knew the formula for a bestseller, I'll be honest, I'd probably try. But I think that I've made enough different kinds of books that I don't know. It never has come into the equation when I'm making them because it feels impossible to hack. And so it really is, I think the true torture is between what your intention is for the story and what you hope it will be and what it actually is, which has nothing to do with selling. But that's the tragedy and the beauty that I'm always wrestling with, of like what I hope it's going to look like, what I hope it's going to feel like, and what it actually looks like and what it actually feels like. What do you guys think?
I'm with you on that one. All of my work is just completely made for me. And like, if it sells, that's great. And if it doesn't, I made it for me. And like, it's really me versus myself with like
Spider-Man meme.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't know if that's it. But again, if I knew the formula for a bestseller, maybe it'd be different. But
I feel like I came into, I don't know, this career feels like is truly the most self-indulgent thing I feel like I could have done with like my time on Earth. And I feel like I try to approach it as such because I feel so, I feel incredibly lucky that I haven't, I don't think, really been asked by the people that have been publishing my work to to try to shape it into something for marketability or and I do think a part of that is just because we're unfortunate, but also in some ways lucky enough to like, there's only so much money it's gonna make, like there's only so many copies you're gonna sell of like a graphic novel, and maybe that'll change and maybe it won't, but I don't know. I don't think any of us necessarily got into this racket to get rich, more, to feel freedom and to feel, and trying to sort of keep that as like the North Star in this whole thing. I feel very lucky that that's been relatively easy, but I totally agree that the main tension is always the book that I envisioned when I like first, wrote the first word of the script, and then the thing I hold, which is like, always feels like a husk of it.
Always a husk.
Yeah.
God damn. Sometimes a great husk,
A
but
beautiful,
yeah.
lovely husk, but.
Yeah, I co-sign everything y'all said. I would just say also, it's like, we're all doing our own thing, like in a very opulent way, but it's like ultimately like what everyone sees is what we had the time to make.
Mm-hmm.
And so like everyone's kind of on different constraints with that, and like, there's the dream you have in your mind, and then there's the amount of time you ultimately have to do it. And so hopefully you live a balanced enough life where then that can be as, extensive and wonderful as you want. But I think, ultimately the husk that comes out is the reality of whatever we were going through at the time. So that's maybe a better constraint than like how many zeros we can tack on in post, because we're all fucking just trying to survive. So
yeah, I mean, I've always been like, if a deal or like an email comes knocking that's like, do you want to do the most sort of garbage fire graphic novel for this celebrity for like $600,000? Hell yes. Like I feel I'm very passionate about comics, and I feel very strongly about like trying to do my best, but I also, because it's been my job for so long, I do feel very flexible, where I'm like of course I did The Walking Dead to try to make money. Like I don't have an undying passion for zombies. It was like, I want a baby, I want a house, yada yada. So I like living in both worlds, where my art is very precious to me, but at the same time, like if you want to pay me a lot to do like this dumb thing or cool thing to you, sounds great. Like I would love security, stability.
Yeah. Mm.
It was I kind of had my own 2 dates to the prom recently, in the way that I did 2 IPs for the first time, and I did a Godzilla comic, and I just been wrapping up this Adventure Time comic, and the Godzilla one was way shorter, but it was so much harder because I really don't have that much Godzilla experience. Like he's not like a guy I really know,
You don't hang out.
Oh
yeah, we don't hang out. Like I had a blast drawing him, and I had fun working with the editors, and I think like the final product was good. Like I'm happy with it. But it was so much harder than doing like Adventure Time, which is like a cartoon I grew up watching as like a teenager. Like I wonder, like for you, like do you find it to be easier to do stuff that like you're more familiar with, or?
I mean, like, always, but I at this point I sort of like when it's uncomfortable. Like I like a challenge right now,
Totally,
because I feel like I don't want to just keep doing the same book again and again. Like that's what my fear is. My fear is that I'm going to tell the same story again and again, which, why should I be scared of that? I know a lot of male authors who just tell the same story again and again, and they're wildly successful. So maybe I should lean into it, but
I think most cartoonists tell the same story again and again, just in different ways.
Oh, we're changing. We're different. I'm different.
Sometimes you are different, but it's the same story. It's just a different perspective, which I like.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. No, that's true.
But
I do think it's kind of one of my favorite things about looking at, like, I don't know, the body of work of anyone that has made work when they were very young and work when they were very old, and being like, oh, you've been talking about the same stuff for decades. You've just kind of figured out. You got a different hold on it now.
A different hold on it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's true.
Is it the offspring that say they've just like, it's the same song? They're like, this is the same song over and over again. We're not even going to pretend. It's the nuances. Last question.
I like to think I'm a ska band. Trumpets. That's very
Nobody listens to ska anymore. Nobody.
I don't think that's true, Sean.
It's a reference to a real old early internet joke, but I'm an old person. Last question. What excites you most about the future of comics? Or what are some exciting things, either personally or kind of in the scene? If there are any.
Of course there are.
I feel like in this sort of, and this kind of goes back to the conversation we were having before, where the beast that the internet has become, where it's both no longer the town square and also the Gen AI of it all. I'm seeing, I feel like more and more people really long for and want to put their time into making just a luscious physical object, just like a beautiful book to have and to hold. And I feel like I'm seeing more people kind of want that from the artists whose art they like, and who knows where that'll go and how that'll translate. I mean, I've certainly been feeling that pull towards, you know, the material, like reality of a piece of art. So I don't know. I think it's cool to see, you know, I as like my love for all of this first kind of developed in shows and cons and going and picking up and, I don't know, feeling paper stock and doing whatever. And it feels kind of nice to come back to that, where it's like, oh, that's, I don't know, that's the beauty and the fun part.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope that there is, as I feel like people are, all people are in their own ways coming to terms with like the amount of time they spend on screens, the amount of how being online has sort of ruined a lot of us and all of us and everything. My hope and dream is for a renaissance of like a love of traditional media. And like, yes, Procreate's great and it's really fast, but it's based upon these real tools that have been used for so long. And I'm excited by that. I agree with Rosemary. I think like the love of books and the love of physical objects is still there. And I'm also excited at the notion that like indie cartoonists are going to continue to like change the form. I'm excited to see like more kind of imaginative use of the comics page. I feel like it's growing and changing right now, and I'd like to see it be pushed even further.
Totally agree. I feel like we're gonna see it. It's gonna be awesome.
Well, if no one else does it, we'll do it.
Yeah, we definitely. I think we're all gonna do it, but also other people will. But I'm really excited about this comic Sam Zabo's working on that I'm not allowed to talk about, but just know it's gonna be a fucking banger. And then I'm really excited about this comic. I don't know if you guys have heard of it. It's called One Piece, and we just started the end game of One Piece. So like I'm excited to find out what the One Piece is sometime this decade, you know. Like I think that would be awesome.
Beautiful dream.
It's my dream. But
yeah, I feel like I have to look to like what people I know are doing and like the things that they're putting out in the world, because like, you know, in a not even doomer way, just a kind of realistic, like looking at like all the hands of cards on the table, it's not great. It's like, it's just the kind of like, I think there's something exciting about like lean years in terms of like the inventiveness people can like, you know, put off the resilience of like not being able to do things. And of course that limits a lot of people and like puts a lot of like kind of dreams on hold to the extent of like, I think we're going to see a lot less people making comics coming into comics, which can be good and can be really bad and really sad and soul crushing. But like, ultimately it's just like I really like scheduling these little Zoom calls with other people who are working on like long form work, where we just like look at what each other are doing in a really chill way. and give feedback wherever people want it. Because ultimately, like, it's just trying to keep your head above water in some ways, but also it's like, yeah, I mean, just like checking in with your species. So.
Well, I feel like we're looking at the now and the future of comics in this virtual room. So
only in Sean's square. Sean, your square needs to carry us all through.
Well, it's interesting. I've always thought of, I know community is a scary word, but community and Athenaeum, right? Like thinking of us as a collective. It doesn't necessarily mean that all of you are best friends or that all of the artists that are at Athenaeum even know each other. But I like to think of us as this, a space that has similar goals and that, we're here to support each other and hopefully, we're weathering a storm in the world currently. Hopefully we survive in general, let alone our little niche baby comic space. But, for me, I've always been convinced that power comes from, solidarity, and hopefully Athenaeum and this little tiny niche space can kind of pull things together and help you folks out a little bit as we, hopefully continue to be successful in the years to come. Does anyone have anything to share? Books coming out, things that folks should be excited for, and that you want to talk to folks about before we head out? Things that you're allowed to talk about.
Shouldn't we tell people to buy original art?
Yes.
Go to your website and peruse the fabulous originals.
You can't buy this page because it was sold. Godzilla, the first page of Godzilla versus Chicago was sold the other day. But thank you, Tillie. That's why we're here. I know the folks are watching love you all, and I love you all too. And it's important, I think, in these spaces to support the artists that have moved us, who've changed our lives, changed the way that we think about the world, changed the way that we see the world. And so one really cool way to do that is to buy original art. And Athenaeum is a space where we take a small cut, but the vast majority of the money is going to the artists so that they can better focus on the work that we want, the work that we love. So consider taking a look at our website. We got lots of pages. And Rosemary, you're working on some more traditional original art, I think. I don't know if that's a secret, but... No.
Well, I mean, yeah, I don't know if I can, but yeah.
In generalities, yes.
I'm making it, which honestly, I have to thank you for that, because I really, I feel like I for the sheer sake of speed, like took such a pause from working traditionally. And Athenaeum has kind of like brought me back to the like pleasure of that in a way that has been so incredible. And it's just because, yeah, I don't know, it's improved my like relationship to my work, the quality of my work. So I don't know. Sean, you're the best. You
Thank you.
Are like one of the bright lights, I feel like, in this weird little industry.
Yeah.
Well, and I don't know about y'all. I'm not gonna put y'all and any of y'all's words in your mouth, but last year I wanted to do a Black Friday sale. I feel like I'm gonna email Sean and be like, I would love to do that again. So everyone should buy art full price. But as we
buying art at any time,
yeah,
even on a Black Friday,
yeah, you don't need to buy it for Christmas or because of whatever. But I feel like I'm gonna be letting Sean know to do some kind of fun holiday sale on the horizon. So
the sales are always funny because I feel like I do the sale and we get some purchases, and then people like immediately after the sale ends end up buying a bunch of stuff, and I'm like, where were you?
Because they get FOMO.
Yeah.
They see the stuff that's sold and they're like, dang, I really wanted that.
Yeah.
There's an interesting psychology to all of it, which is why as Athenaeum grows, we start being in more of those social media spaces that where folks are posting the art that they buy, because I think that Godzilla page sold because I put it up on Comic Art Fans.
Comic Art
2
Fans
days
is
ago.
so sick. It's so sick to like
Cool,
look and
right?
see like all like the actual original pages that people put up there. Like I love looking at
Yeah.
original comic pages. Like I don't know. It's nice to like see kind of how the dinner's made. Like
I know originals are so cool. Also, like I
Originals
actually
is
like touched them and sweated on them, and like it was in I breathed on it. We were all like, it's really intimate to have someone's original art.
Tillie, I like your art.
The joy of going to Heroes Con was that I got to see all of y'all's stuff just like out in a way that like Sean was like, everyone look, like come in. And so where, you're cruising it online and trying to get an idea of the scale, like going to any of these shows that Sean's tabling at and like, he's not choosy about who he shows his portfolio to. You talk to him, he'll show it to you, and like show you the extra weird, cool shit in his bag that's like not for sale yet or whatever. So,
MS,
it's a joy to hold it.
You said something really interesting at the show, which I hadn't thought about, and you said, when you're trying to sell your books, you can't talk to people for forever because that means you're not selling your books. But as an original art rep, I'm like talking to people for 2 hours.
You've been talking to people for like a damn hour, and I'm like, how even? Which is crazy to me.
Because if they buy one page, right, that's many books.
That's many graphic novels.
I know. I literally
think
in a year have made like what I made with Athenaeum has equaled a book advance for me.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I was able to buy my car.
Like literally changing lives over
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
It's
We
sucks.
put gutters on the
Comics
house.
industry. Don't ever let anyone tell you anything else.
It sucks living in Philly without a car. And
I don't wanna do
now it
that.
rocks living in Philly with a car. I just have to say for the record.
For the record.
All these girls with bicycles lied to me about how easy it is to get around Philadelphia. It's not.
Girls on bikes love to lie.
They lie. They say, it's so easy. The public transit here is so great if you have a bicycle and you like riding it next to cars that want to kill you.
That's really everywhere. I wanted to say, going back to original art, if you buy a Tillie Walden piece, sometimes you get some fun, fuck, I hated drawing this written on the side.
You do that.
This is so stupid.
Yeah.
I messed up this. Those are my favorite. Those are
Just
my. Sometimes I put those to the side for myself. Well, thank you all. It's been lovely chatting. Again, for the folks that are watching, go to the website. Go. Some of you all are in social media, but go find the books for Tillie, Rosemary, MS, and Caroline. Go buy them all because they're all amazing. And then once you've bought them, go look at the art and buy a page or two. It'd really help us all out. Thank you all. It's been lovely. And yes, hopefully we can do something again for our 5th anniversary.
Congrats on the 4th.
Yeah. Congrats on number 4. That's huge.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
All right. Have a good evening, everybody.
Bye, Sean.
Bye.